Welcome to the Wellness Architect, where we break down practical, science-backed strategies to help busy professionals and their families achieve long-term wellness without overwhelm. I'm your host, Mark Nigrelli, and today we're diving into a topic that hits home for many parents: kids and junk food. How do we break the habit? If you're a parent, you know the minefield that is food shopping. You've probably experienced the struggle of navigating brightly coloured packaging that just screams high protein or low calorie, only to find out when you pick it up and read it, it's just packed with sugar and additives. Feeding our kids is not an easy task, and I understand that, but it's one of the most important aspects of raising healthy, happy children. Today, I'll be sharing some simple, actionable strategies to help you reduce the amount of junk food that our children eat without turning meal times into a complete battleground. Now, we've all heard the advice, just don't buy junk food. But we know that it's not that simple. In fact, our kids are bombarded with food advertisements. Studies show that children in the UK are exposed to 15 billion junk food ads per year. Come on. The system's designed to push unhealthy foods onto our kids, but that doesn't mean we're powerless. We know that childhood is a golden window of opportunity where nutrition has a bigger impact than any other stage of life. This is the time to get it right, and it can make a huge difference not only to their physical health, but also their mental well-being. You've probably heard me talk about ultra-processed foods before. Foods loaded with preservatives, emulsifiers, and of course, sugar. In the UK and the US, more than half of our calories come from ultra-processed foods, and for our children, that number's even higher, 72%. That's really alarming when you think about how these foods can affect our kids' gut health and long-term health. Dr. Federica Amanti, a leading nutritionist for children, points out that ultra-processed foods often contain emulsifiers. These can disrupt the gut microbiome. We want to protect our children's gut health because a healthier gut means a better immune function, lower inflammation, and a reduced risk of things like type 2 diabetes and obesity. Junk foods are everywhere, okay? I get that. But what can you do? As a parent, we don't have control over every single aspect of our kids' food environment. They're exposed to junk food ads on TV, at school, supermarket aisles, and even YouTube. But we do have control of what we bring into our homes and what we teach our children. It all starts with small, manageable changes. Instead of trying to overhaul your children's diet overnight, make incremental adjustments. For example, swap out white bread for whole grain, or start mixing veggies into the kids' favourite foods. And I know you're thinking, Marky, I've tried that, but how do I get them to actually eat the foods? Trust me, I've been there, I am there. But you can't just switch everything overnight, or you'll end up with some seriously upset kids. And probably some uneaten meals. The key is gradual, small changes, and this helps their taste buds adjust over time. Let's start with just the bread. If your kids are used to white bread, jumping straight on a whole meal can be a bit of a shock to them. So why not try 50-50 first? The half white, half whole meal. This works wonders for my kids. It gives them a gentler introduction to the nutty taste and the denser texture of whole grains. Once they get used to that, you can slowly transition to full whole meal. It's the same as pasta and rice. Mix a little bit of brown in with the rice or the pasta instead of just doing whole meal straight away overnight. Over time, they begin to accept and enjoy the whole grain versions and tastes. These subtle swaps make it a less of a battleground because the change isn't drastic. Let's look at protein. How do you get protein into their diet? It can be a challenge, I know that, especially if your kids aren't big fans of chicken, fish, and other traditional protein sources. One thing I found helped with my own children, they didn't really like chicken straight up on his Sunday dinner. So we tried fridge raiders. These are like ready to eat chicken bites, and they're conventional, tasty, and they do have protein in them without that heavy, intimidating taste that you get from traditional chicken. If you're really struggling to get protein into their diet, this can be a solid option. Let's look at veggies. You can try raw carrots. My kids hated veggies, but raw carrots seem to be a huge hit with them. They just love the crunch, and it's a great way to get extra nutrients into their diet. I started slipping them into their lunch boxes along with other familiar snacks and just see how they got on. Now my kids actually ask for carrot sticks. They love them. It's all about finding what works for your children and sticking with it. Small steps add up. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the idea of overhauling your kids' diet, remember, just the small changes over time can lead to big results. Compounding. Here's another hack that I love, and it's one of the easiest ways to cut back on sugar. Swap sugary flavoured yogurts for plain natural yogurt. Instead of buying these pre-sweetened versions, let your kids add a little bit of honey or fresh fruit to them. It gives them control over their foods while dramatically reducing their sugar intake. This is a great way to make mealtimes fun while keeping them healthy. Let's talk about the picky eaters. And you might think, Mark, I've tried everything, but my kid just won't eat anything healthy. And I hear you, my daughters are exactly the same. Start by introducing new foods alongside familiar favourites, and don't be discouraged if they don't like them first time. It takes around about 10 exposures for a child to actually accept a new food. Just stick with it. If they only want to eat the white bread and processed meats, try doing half and half sandwiches, one slice of white bread and one slice of whole grain, and see how you get on. Gradually increase the healthier options until the taste buds start to adjust. Breakfast's another area where you can make a significant improvement. Breakfast cereals marketed to kids are often loaded with sugar. You might think you're giving them a healthy start to the day because of what the labels say. High in fiber, high protein, fortified with vitamins. But really, the reality is that these cereals are often harmful for our kids. Instead, opt for more balanced options. Weetabix, shredded wheat, even some Cheerios or puffed rice cereals, and even porridge. Try these and adding in fruits and things that the kids will like. Try some eggs in the morning. These will provide protein and healthy fats to your children's diets. Greek yogurt with some fruit and nuts. If your kids love pancakes, make a healthier version using oats and bananas, and just small swaps. And it makes a great way to get around these barriers. It's important we build a healthy food culture at home. I know we're all busy, but we can still build a positive food culture at home. Try to sit down for a family meal as often as you can. Studies show that kids who eat with their families tend to have better diets overall. Give them choices at the table. Let them serve themselves and encourage them to try new foods. One trick I've found useful is using coloured veggies to make meals more visually appealing. Think of the rainbow on their plate. Kids are more likely to try something if it looks fun. Make faces on with the foods. Don't demonize junk food, but do set boundaries. You don't want to be that parent who bans all treats. It's just not realistic. It's not healthy to create fear around food. But it is about balance. Maybe have a treat day once a week where they can get to enjoy their favourite ice cream. It's the key is moderation in teaching them why foods are sometimes foods rather than everyday foods. And to wrap things up, it's more important to remember that changing your children's eating habits won't happen overnight. Start with small, manageable changes and build from there. Make healthy foods the norm at home, but don't stress over occasional treats. Most importantly, lead by example. If they say you're eating a balanced diet and nutritious meals, they're more likely to follow suit, or at least start to get curious about what you're enjoying. I hope you found these tips helpful and that you feel a little bit more empowered to take control of your family's nutrition. And as always, thank you for tuning in to The Wellness Architect. Don't forget, subscribe and share this with someone who might need to hear these tips. Until next time, stay well, stay balanced, and take care of yourselves. And I'll see you in the next episode.